So, with all of the stories that I cover, I always try to teach a lesson or some lessons, and this is why I took some tweets, and I wanted to highlight some different things that needs to be discussed. Like with this one here, he told me and my family that he had told his parents I was pregnant, and they had kicked him out as our cultures did not necessarily align. He is Middle Eastern, Pakistani to be exact. This was one of the reasons I was told I nor our child will be accepting his culture. For some reason in my gut, I didn't believe he truly told them. After he told me what I felt was a lie, that his parents wanted him to go back home, I asked him to pack all his things and leave my home immediately. He began to protest and asked me if I was kicking him out. I simply stated that I didn't believe he ever told his family the truth about our relationship or our pregnancy, and I was too tired to deal with his BS that thing. So what's important here is the fact that she got pregnant by this guy, and the family looked like they didn't even know about the relationship, which is a big no. And she said that she don't believe that he told his family. He may have not have told the family that she was pregnant, but he probably told them that, he was in a relationship with her. And some people say they don't believe they kicked him out or whatever you said. But with these, the thing is, because with the divestors, because I know a lot of people that are divesting, the thing is with these other cultures, with many of these cultures, some black people, some white people, you don't have no problems, going with another race. But with these other cultures, that is not permitted. You cannot go outside of the race. Sometimes the kids do this. The kids or the young adults or whatever, they do this to get mad, to get back at their parents. This is why it's important to vet people. Sometimes they start a relationship with you because they're mad at their parents. Sometimes they want to try it out. But in reality, they are not supposed to mix. And then to bring a child in this world, they are not supposed to do that, because they are, in a sense, contaminating the bloodline. And they want to keep their bloodlines pure. In some of these cultures, I had a family member. She had a child. She was pregnant with, I'm not going to say exactly, the nationality, but it was from an Asian. And this young man wasn't even born in Asia. He was born here. His mother was born here, but they had grandparents that were Asians. And when he got this family member pregnant, they disowned him. They kicked him out because they said the exact same thing. You contaminated the bloodline. You were not supposed to do that. And they cut him off because this young man, he had the very best up until the time that he went against their beliefs and their cultures. Because sometimes it's the culture that the person came from. Sometimes is the area that the family their family came from, or the province. They do not mix. And with some races, they believe some races are inferior to them. And sometimes they use derogatory terms. So he was never supposed to be with this young lady at all. There was probably different reasons. Maybe because he knew her, he wanted to try something new. Maybe he was mad at his parents, but it was not supposed to mix. Like, there's a very, very, very rich family in the United States. Those people, they don't mix. I don't need to call their names. They have children amongst each other. So if you want to get this money, you're going to go with your cousin or whatever, your third cousin or whatever. That's how they keep their bloodline pure. There are people out there that are literally like this. And you have to know the right questions to ask. You cannot just go on what the person says. You have to see the actions. You have to keep your eyes open, your ears open. You have to be aware, because sometimes you don't initially know these things, but in asking the right questions and watching them and doing your research, you will eventually find out before you go further into this relationship. Because he went to elementary and middle school and high school together because maybe the family had a business in the area. Because even though they think some cultures think that some races are inferior to them, they are better, they would still have their kids in the public school or whatever, because if their business is right there in the community, it doesn't make them, even though they may not, some of them live in the community, some of them don't, but their business is there. It's better for them just, to have the child, if the school is right up the street, you could close the store, whatever the business, for a few minutes, get your child and come right back. So it's much easier for them instead of, having them in a much better school, because in reality, though their kids in public school, they teach their kids what their kids need to know. This is why you need to find these things out. So this guy was never supposed to be in it, because she did mention that he did have initial reservations, and then afterwards he wanted to have the family. But then maybe he thought that his parents was when they said they would disown him, he probably didn't know that they were serious. I talk to many people. I talk to different people from different cultures. They will disown you. They don't care. Now, if you get in trouble and stuff like that, you need some money for a lawyer, they'll do that. But for you to get an inheritance, for you to get the wealth from some family, if you mix the bloodline, if you do certain things, like I know this guy, his family disowned him because he got into taking substances. They disowned him. They made sure, he was in a safe place, but they have nothing to do with them. Some cultures are like this. They do not play. They do not play at all. You want to do what, this is what we do in this culture. You want to do what other cultures do, we disown you. You want to mix the bloodline, we disown you. You need to find these things out. And then she further said that, at a point of time they lived together, and then he would pour pills in his hand, and then put them directly in his mouth. He would treat her, he would give her little kisses, and he would treat us like, like a queen in a sense. But sometimes we have to realize, most of the times, some of these men, some of these women, they do this to make you get your guards down, so that when they doing certain things, in a sense, lulling you to sleep, like Tony Gaskins say, so they can eliminate you. So they do this so you don't suspect them. Because, oh my goodness, even if your intuition would be telling you something different, but if you're looking at, hey, they treat me so well, look at what they're doing to me, I don't think what I'm feeling is the truth, because they treat me so well. But he was doing this to get her guards down, because he's feeding her all these pills, and they were deteriorating not only the baby, but also in her. So she's gonna need a lot of healing. And many times, because we as Black people too, we were conditioned. Now we live in a different time. We have people that look like us that are in media and entertainment, and they have dolls that look like us. But when most of us, when we were growing up, we were taught in a sense to be inferior, like other races were more superior than us. If we want to have kids with certain features, we have to get with this type of culture. And sometimes when we do get in these type of relationships with another race, we tend to miss all of the red flags, because we so want this to work out, because we're gonna have an exotic looking children, and sometimes the red flags are in front of us, but we don't see them, because we were so we are made to feel inferior. So when we get somebody that it seems that this person is going to uplift us by giving us beautiful kids, in the sense that what people say, then we miss all of the red flags. And many people do this. Sometimes we may not even know that we may not be aware that we are doing these things, bypassing this person, or giving this person the benefit of the doubt because they are a different race, because we were so conditioned, to we were conditioned to think that we are inferior. So we let this person get away with a lot of stuff, like in a sense, like when he just put pills in her mouth, and you didn't think twice to say, hey, what is going on, what is happening? And even the things she was suffering, and then he would just be sitting there and asking her weird questions and stuff like that. Sometimes it's because we were conditioned. The person may not intentionally, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna dismiss all these red flags. I see all the red flags, but I don't care because I want exotic looking kids." You may not intentionally do that, but since you were conditioned to think that you're inferior, you just bypass all of these red flags. There was a lot of red flags, and sometimes if you're not trained to know what to look for, you won't see them. And of course, eventually this young lady did lose the baby from these 2 pills right here. And she said she was praying for a miracle that her child would live. But this is the thing. You see these 2 pills right here on the screen. Even if, she had took 2 and then eventually she probably discovered what he was doing. You see these 2 little pills. These things are dangerous. These things are poisonous. They are so potent. Even if she had discovered this, and then the baby, she was able to have the baby, something would have been wrong with this child. This child would have had some type of birth defect. This is how strong. Though you see how small, and they're very small. They're not big, but they're dangerous. They are very, very dangerous. And the fact that this young man would do this man would take a life, because had this not, you see all this feeding, he was feeding her this, and he eventually terminated her pregnancy. Had he not succeeded, he would have taken her life. He would have taken her life. He would have taken her child's life, because he knew he was not supposed to be with this young lady. And even if they had arrested him, he would have, trust me, he would have taken all of his time with a smile on his face, or he would have go and flee to, whichever country that his family comes from, and they would have never been able to find him. That's why we have to know who are we dealing with. So even if this, and then he fed her, fed her this, and then put it in her female parts. It was dangerous for the baby. It was dangerous for her. You don't know what damage this is done, because even when this happened to me, some things is Dr. Jesus. Dr. Jesus had to heal me, because sometimes I would certain times I would go to sleep, and I was in like OBGYN clinic, and I see he working on me. It was different things that was going on, the different things that was happening in my body that I had to get healing from. You have to physically going through things that you have to physically get healing, and you have to get emotionally and mental healing. This is how traumatic and horrific what this young lady went through, and this is why I'm using this as a, hey, yes, we relate, we are sympathizing with her, but get this lesson, because there are people out there like this. There are wicked people out there and you need to be able to know how to detect these type of people. And like I said before, yes, she lost this baby, but you're still alive. There's another opportunity. You could have another opportunity to build with somebody that truly loves you and accepts you for who you are, and wants to start a relationship and eventually build a family with you. This young man is somebody you need to stay. If he's walking on the left side of the street, you need to go like 2-3 blocks away. This is a dangerous person, and he put her life in jeopardy. And another thing I wanted to touch on too is because she said till this day he has never taken any accountability and has shown no remorse. I also have to say that you know how they push this procedure that terminates the life of a child, and then they always used to say, oh, it's certain weeks, it's just a blob of tissue, it's just a blob of cells, it's not really a baby and stuff like that. Because I promise you, he started when she probably first told him that she was, he started real early. He started real early doing this. So, pushing this in the media and these different billboards. Now they have billboards that tell you, I think 14 or 16 days, you can detect a heartbeat. There's a heartbeat. But they would always be pushing, say, oh, it's just a blob of cells. It's just a thing. Until we get in certain situations like this. And then the person do things like this, or you may lose a pregnancy and then the person has no remorse. They don't care. Because why? They tell people what it is. It's just a blob of cells. It's just a blob of tissue. It's nothing. So people are conditioned that it's not really a child. So why would they feel remorse? Why would they take accountability? It was just about blob cells. It was just a blob of tissue. So this is sometimes these things are being pushed. These agendas are being pushed. And then we don't see the gravity of it until we go through, God forbid you go through something like this. And then for you to know that, hey, from when I was a few weeks, you started doing this. And then this is what you did to my child. So this is why we have to be careful with certain agendas that are out there. And though this young man may never be able to get judged in a court of law, in a court of human law, there's a higher law. There's a higher court, that he will be judged. Because like I said, the person that I was with who specializes in this, you cannot do things like that and get away. This is nothing. Whatever you sow, you will reap. And you will reap it before you leave this earth. That's why I'm very careful of how I treat people and do certain stuff. Because you will reap what you sow. And if this person does how he, he was making all kind of money doing this to how he is now, that's a 180 downward spiral, because you can't do things like this. Though they may say whatever they say, oh, it's this, it's that, it's not really form, it's not a thing. That is, you are taking somebody's life. You're taking a child, because that child could have been so many great things. Somebody that probably have the intelligence to know how to cure cancer, to know how to cure AIDS. But then these kids are being taken out, whether going to these clinics or people doing things like that with your knowledge or without your knowledge. So this was a very tragic and traumatic story. I really hope she gets the healing, all of the healing from the top of her head to the sole of her feet, to begin to piece back her life together. Because going through something like that, you probably will never be able to trust another human being. But that was that human being. That doesn't mean that every human being is that way. That was that man. Doesn't mean that every man is like that. And something like this, anybody could do it to you. Whether because the person that did this was the same color as me. We came from the same nationality. So anybody could do that to you. It's not a specific, it's this specific culture, this specific person. No. That's why everybody needs to be vetted. Whether you choose to go outside of your race or stay in with your race, everybody that comes in your life must be vetted. You need to know what questions to ask. You have to watch them. Certain stuff that they do, love bombing you and different things like that. You need to know sometimes they do that just to keep your guards down. So when they do certain stuff, so you overlook it. You can't overlook anything. You need to be watching some stuff. You have to question things, unfortunately, because people don't have pure motives anymore. So that's all I had to say on this situation. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.